the company that he keeps right now and his rankings. So last 5 games, it is not a stretch to say he's been the worst quarterback in the league.
That's a stretch.
I mean,
That's a stretch.
I mean, passer rating, they rate
That's
the
a
passers.
stretch.
Drew, I'm not.
It's actually worse than
The worst quarterback in the league. How about all those guys that are off the mountain?
But
they're not. They haven't played all.
Drew, 36 is worse than.
Drew,
he's 34th.
Hold on.
I see what the numbers say, but when I show you numbers about Patrick Mahomes, you say, well, the numbers don't matter.
We're 2 for 2 on Patrick Mahomes.
No, I'm just saying.
I know.
Drew,
I would not say the worst in the league.
Who's it been?
Jalen Hurts just threw 5 and had 5 turnovers in his last game.
Okay,
maybe that.
all right, so
I'm just saying.
I think Jalen Hurts over the last 5 games has been better than Lamar.
I just think saying worse than the league is ridiculous. There's no way Cam Ward has put up better numbers.
Well, I mean, Drew, I can tell you by definition, he has a better touchdown to turnover ratio because.
Do you think Cam Ward has played better than Lamar Jackson over the last 5
games? I don't. Probably not.
Cam Ward was okay.
Drew,
fine. I'm just saying, that's what I'm asking you.
But Bro, what do you make of these numbers?
I'm not, hold on.
Lamar Jackson has been terrible the last 5 games. I'm just saying, the worst in the league.
Okay, let me rephrase it because this isn't even the point I was trying to make.
I forgot where we're going.
I'm not saying Lamar over the last 5 games has been the worst quarterback in football. I'm simply saying he's played like the worst quarterback in football would. Here it is, bro. Worst passer rating since week 10. It's J.J. McCarthy, a guy who doesn't play anymore. Jalen Hurts, to your point, he's on there, and Tyrod Taylor, who's hurt. So he's among the worst. So here is the point that I want to bring to you, Coach. And listening to that Harbaugh commentary.
Can I have you one caveat? Dusty just got in my ear. Just a rest day, no official injury designation.
So
Great.
He might.
No, but
tomorrow.
Right. Missing a day of practice has not worked, and he should stop doing it. And I don't, he plays the game, he doesn't suffer visibly like a re-injury during the game, he doesn't miss the end of the game, and then the first practice of the week, or last week it was the second practice of the week, he misses, then he plays the worst football of his illustrious career, is this stretch right now, and then they do it again. And then when Harbaugh's asked about it, he's like, basically, we trust the player. Harbaugh makes it very clear. This is not a team decision. This is a Lamar decision. I'm here to tell you, I think it's the wrong decision. I think what we're seeing is Lamar Jackson, for some reason, has not played well when missing these practices.
Yeah, so he's missed 5 weeks in a row. He's missed a day of practice. Now, with that 5-week period, we saw the numbers that he's put up, including under 60% completion 5 straight games, which he's never done in the course of his career. Outside of that, he's averaging almost half as many rushing yards as he normally does. So that's significant. He's being sacked at double the rate that he normally gets sacked. So those are obviously things related to his mobility. And the idea that he doesn't have an injury distinction and it's just rest doesn't seem like it totally adds up. I don't know if I'd be really happy if I was in Vegas and he was playing like this, and we keep saying it's only rest, but he's got
the previous ones weren't rest. The previous one was a toe, an ankle, a hamstring.
By the end of the week, doesn't it go by Friday like no injury designation? No, it's one of those things where I got fined one time $20,000 for not tagging Brett Favre with an injury. Guy went out and threw 5 touchdowns. Like, I think people would have been mad if I had tagged him and he threw 5 touchdowns. And now we're missing a day. He's got no injury designation. And for the head coach to say, I think this is the right thing. Oh, no, I know it's the right thing. Really, as the head coach, you get to decide if he's cleared by the medical staff, whether someone practices or not, unless there's someone above you saying that's not going to happen. Lamar.
We're venturing into a rather convoluted and semantically fraught area here, particularly with the specific terminology being employed. Many individuals, and I can say I know this to be the case, operate under the premise that this is simply the established, unchangeable nature of professional sports discourse. However, we don't necessarily need to become entangled in that particular semantic web. Let's address a more fundamental issue. If a player of Lamar Jackson's caliber approaches his coaching staff and states, "My body needs rest. I require a day for recovery and treatment," I am uncertain what specific action any coach, including John Harbaugh, could effectively take in that moment. The coach can certainly emphasize the team's need for his presence, the necessity of executing the game plan, and the importance of collective practice. But if the athlete's response is a reiteration of his physical needs, the conversation effectively reaches its conclusion. As someone who has navigated numerous injuries, you must ultimately place your trust in the athlete's own assessment of their physical state. You cannot simply override their subjective experience by declaring, "The medical staff cleared you, therefore you are practicing." If the player counters with, "I don't care what the charts say. I feel sore, I feel discomfort, I don't feel right," that is the terminus of the discussion. This perspective is why I've always found narratives like the one surrounding Antonio Brown's final days in various locales to be fundamentally absurd. While I don't claim to possess every detail, the core of that story, to my understanding, revolved around a player asserting he wasn't fit to perform and a coach demanding he do so anyway. The resulting explosion was almost inevitable. While Brown's situation is uniquely complex, the underlying principle holds. If an individual communicates they are not physically or mentally prepared, that assertion must be respected. Even if medical imaging suggests structural soundness, but the athlete reports, "I'm just not feeling it today," that indicates a mental or proprioceptive disconnect that is just as valid. It may present a challenge to manage, but when the subject is the integrity of an athlete's body, their own internal feedback must be granted paramount authority. A perfect historical parallel exists in the NBA with Kawhi Leonard. His career has been a prolonged negotiation with a body that has repeatedly failed him, requiring multiple surgeries and managing degenerative conditions. During his tenure with the San Antonio Spurs, the organization's medical staff deemed him ready to return. Leonard's internal assessment contradicted this. The ensuing conflict, rooted in this fundamental disagreement over bodily awareness, precipitated his departure. History has vindicated Leonard's caution. His physical challenges have persisted, demonstrating that the player's intimate, lived experience of his own physiology can sometimes hold more truth than external, generalized medical evaluations. This is not to disparage medical professionals. However, it is crucial to understand the inherent limitations of their assessments, especially concerning soft tissue injuries, general soreness, or proprioceptive feedback. A standard evaluation involves questions about pain, range of motion tests, and strength assessments. But these are often blunt instruments. I've personally visited doctors for persistent issues, like foot numbness, only to be told an MRI likely wouldn't reveal a definitive cause and to simply manage the discomfort. For clear, structural breaks or tears, the diagnosis is concrete. For the myriad of aches, pulls, tweaks, and generalized soreness that define an NFL season, the evaluation heavily relies on the athlete's subjective report. "How do you feel?" becomes the critical diagnostic question. While NFL medical protocols are infinitely more comprehensive than a standard doctor's visit, there remains a vast gray area where the athlete's personal testimony is the primary data point. The argument regarding time management also warrants scrutiny. The notion that a player must choose between receiving treatment and participating in practice presents a false dichotomy. These athletes have schedules accommodating both. Intensive treatment sessions are not 12-hour marathons. They involve targeted therapies like massage, stimulation, ultrasound, and heat application. It is entirely feasible within a standard workday to receive comprehensive treatment and participate in a modified practice. The more accurate framing is not, "I'm getting treatment instead of practicing," but rather, "I'm not physically capable of practicing at the required intensity today, so I will use that time for rehabilitative treatment." That is a coherent distinction. Furthermore, the position of quarterback adds another layer. Unlike a linebacker who must engage in full contact drills, a quarterback's practice participation can often be scaled and managed. Even if somewhat limited, a quarterback can often still take mental reps, make throws in controlled settings, and maintain schematic engagement without subjecting his body to the same stressors as other positions. This makes a quarterback's absence from practice feel more notable. This brings us to the core of Nick's contentious argument: the declaration that Lamar Jackson is playing like the worst quarterback in the league. This is precisely the type of reductive, hyperbolic take that Brew rightly challenged, and it mirrors the very arguments many of us contested regarding Patrick Mahomes in previous seasons. There was a period where Mahomes' statistical output, more interceptions than touchdowns during a stretch, was objectively poor. If anyone dared to suggest that Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts was playing better football at that specific moment, the rebuttal was an emotional, legacy-based deflection. You'd take Purdy over Mahomes? That's ridiculous. That was never the argument. The argument was about current, contextual performance, not career valuation or hypothetical draft picks. Nick is now employing this same disingenuous tactic in reverse for Lamar Jackson. He couches it as, "I'm not saying he is the worst, I'm saying he's playing like the worst," as if this semantic shield absolves the take of its inherent hyperbole. If we are to look at the numbers, as he insists, then we must apply that standard uniformly. Let's revisit a relevant comparison. During the first 7 or 8 games of a recent season, Patrick Mahomes posted a passer rating of 82.5, which ranked 35th in the league, below quarterbacks like Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy, and Justin Fields. He had 6 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Was there a widespread media consensus that Patrick Mahomes was the 35th ranked quarterback or playing like the worst at that time? No. The discourse acknowledged his struggles, but contextualized them within his established greatness and the team's broader issues. The numbers for Lamar Jackson in his recent slump are undeniably poor, ranking near the bottom in completion percentage and efficiency metrics over a multi-game sample. However, to isolate this stretch and declare it representative of his entire current worth is to engage in the same selective, ahistorical analysis that was rightly criticized when applied to others. This exposes a profound inconsistency. Nick, and many like him, fiercely resisted any temporary performance-based comparisons that placed other quarterbacks above Patrick Mahomes, invoking legacy and past achievements as a shield. Yet, he feels no compunction about wielding the same blunt, decontextualized statistical weapon against Lamar Jackson, divorcing the current slump from his MVP-caliber baseline. This is having your analytical cake and eating it too. It reflects a willingness to apply a harsh, present-tense standard to some, while granting others a permanent benefit of the doubt rooted in past accomplishments. The looming question for the Baltimore Ravens is monumental. We witnessed what an elite quarterback like Josh Allen, even with a limited supporting cast, can accomplish through individual brilliance against a team like the Cincinnati Bengals. We have also seen the Ravens' own dismal performance against that same opponent. Now, with playoff and divisional implications on the line, this is the moment of truth. If the Ravens fail to compete at a high level, and if Lamar Jackson does not resemble the dynamic, game-controlling force we know him to be, then the concerns escalate from tactical to existential. It would strongly suggest that undisclosed or underestimated health issues are severely impairing his capabilities. The alternative, that his play has simply and inexplicably plummeted absent a major injury, is even more perplexing and troubling. Therefore, the entire situation surrounding Lamar Jackson and the Ravens is characterized by a strange and difficult-to-decipher ambiguity. Is it a temporary, correctable slump amid a team-wide malaise? Is it the manifestation of a physical limitation he and the team are managing? The coming games, with everything at stake, will provide the only meaningful answers. To declare definitive conclusions based solely on a brutal statistical stretch, while ignoring the context of health, team performance, and historical precedent, is to engage in the very kind of reactionary analysis that the discourse often rightly condemns, just only when it's applied to certain favored athletes. Those are my comprehensive reflections on a complex and often contradictory topic. I am very interested to hear your detailed analysis. What is your assessment of Lamar Jackson's current play and the surrounding narrative? Do you believe we will see a return to his established form this season, or are there deeper, systemic issues at play? How do you reconcile the stark statistical reality with the need for contextual understanding and player evaluation? Please share your nuanced perspectives in the comments below. I read every single comment. Whether you agree with this call for consistent analytical standards or believe the statistics tell an unambiguous story, let's engage in a substantive, layered discussion. Let's have a passionate but ultimately respectful debate about one of the league's most electrifying and currently enigmatic players. If you appreciate this style of meticulous, principle-driven commentary, please consider subscribing. We are building a vibrant community here dedicated to elevating football discourse beyond selective outrage and hyperbolic takes, and I would be honored to have you participate. Don't forget to like this video if you found the analysis compelling, as it genuinely assists with visibility and allows these nuanced conversations to reach a wider, more engaged audience. Thank you for your time and for engaging with this detailed analysis.